Yo, check it out, YouTube. I want to show you guys this amazing transformation. I kind of started it, but then I thought about recording it, and this is kind of where the video starts off. And total afro, growing his hair out for about maybe two or 3 years or whatnot, and wanted a highball taper. So I wanted to show you guys some of the skills that I have and some of the tools that I use. So in this particular video, you'll see me using my Andes Cordless Masters and my Babyliss Low Pro FX and a couple of different tools, that I have in my repertoire when it comes to doing, all the haircut and everything. So I want you guys to check it out, tune in, check it out. And let me know what you think. All right, anything that I use, I'll put in the description below, so you can check it out. If you have any questions or something, hit me up, let me know. All right, let's go.
Right here, I cut a lot of his hair up already. So that's why when I said 2 years, that's what it looks like. So here I'm just taking my my Andes Masters, and I'm just kind of like chipping, just cutting off layers, just trying to trim it down to like a mini afro, so I can put my guard on, one of my big guards on, and start chopping it down. So you can just see me kind of going to work here with it. Good grade of hair, takes a great haircut. He was braiding it and just kind of getting it faded on the sides and in the back, and he didn't want it anymore. So you see me using I think my this is like a 4, I think, with my Andes Masters. I like my Andes Masters. They're awesome clippers. I just do not like the guarding system. I don't like the guards for them. I like the guards that go with the wall, the Babyliss. They all work. They all, are interchangeable. So that's one of the reasons why. So you see me chopping it down. We use the new barbers. Of course, you saw me just pick it out then. Had to pick it out to, be able to chop it down. And of course, trying to make sure that you monitor the spot in the back to make sure that, you don't cut it down too low. Check it out. Right here, you'll notice, for those of you who've been barbing a while and you're cutting someone's hair down, who's been woofing or anything like that, you have to cut in layers. So it's kind of like using your big guards, your 4. You can never go wrong using a bigger guard. You can start with a 4 or a 5, and if it's not cutting off what you think it should, you can go down to the next level, 2 or 3, or then a 2 or 2, and then a 1.5 or whatnot, depending on how low they want it. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. Just using each guard. I think I started with a 4, went down to a 3, now that's like a 2. Just monitoring it that way. Be careful, make sure that you comb it out. His hair is nice grade of hair, so you got to make sure that you comb it out and straighten it out when you get ready to trim it down. So here I'm starting the taper process, and I'm just debulking, and I'm using like that's like my 2 guard to kind of start the tapering process. So watch me work. Right here, I'm gonna start the back of the taper, and I'm just gonna do the fading down process where I take, that's like my 2, my 1.5, and I just start with the 1.5, and I go down to a 1.5 opened and a 1.5 closed, and then I take my 1 guard, and I just start doing it that way. Again, my philosophy is you can always start with that's a 2 guard, I'm sorry. I think it's a 2. You could always start with the bigger guard and work your way down. But remember, you can always cut more off, but you can't necessarily put the hair back. So just watch the technique and what I use. Here, I'm using my 1.5, and then I'll eventually go with with no guard and open it up and start fading it in. This is what my half guard, and I'm just going away. I went and started with the 2, the 1.5, the 1, the half guard, and now you see me using my trimmers to bald it out. Now that I've previously debulked the side to start my taper, you'll see me start the bald taper using my Babylous Low Pro FX trimmers. And I go right at the C cup and I just bring my line down, and that's why I make the bald area. And again, I'm doing the fading down process again. I start off with the 1.5, and I go up with the 1, then I go down with the half guard, and then no guard. And I just start chipping away at the lines. So the fading process, take your time. Again, start with the bigger guard, you can't go wrong, then work your way down. Here you can see me kind of doing the same thing I did on the other side. That done my debulking with my bigger guards, my 2 and my 2 guards kind of debulk so I can start to take apart, and I repeat the same process. Here, I pretty much have the sides taped on the side, and I'm using my, I think that's a 2 guard, just to kind of trim the hair, to lay it down before I start edging him up, using the razor and all that good stuff. So, check it out. Here I'm about to start lining up the back of his head using my fabulous FX, Silver FX trimmers with the graphite blade. Man, I don't know for what reason I have really fallen in love with my Silver FX with the graphite blade. That graphite blade is amazing for straight hair, for long hair. And it's one that I've realized that I use more than the others, because I can use it on any client, child or adult, and I still get a good result. So I like that graphite blade. You might want to look into it if you ever used it. Right here, I'm about to put some shaving cream to start his edge up. I have a fabulous lather machine where I put a little can of shaving cream in it. It heats it up and put it on there, and I just take a brush don't even need a towel. I just take the soft end of a brush, rub it in. The hair lays down. Take my razor, and I go over it real smooth and get the nice hair that hangs over his edge up. And then, I'll go over it with my clippers and some holding spray to kind of lock everything in. Now, once I've used the razor, I use some holding spray. The holding spray I use is called Sebastian. I had never heard of it before. I needed some holding spray. I went to Sally's Beauty Supply, and that's the only thing that they had that they told me was good. I've used it. This was maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, and I haven't used anything else. So it's awesome. If you use color, like the color enhancement, that holding spray will hold for at least 4 days, I promise you. If you haven't experienced that holding spray, it's called Sebastian. It's in a white can with gold writing. It's awesome. You can check it out. Here, you'll see me. I start to pick his beard out, and I have over 25, 26 pair of clippers and trimmers. So I use them all for something different. Sometimes clients have sensitive skin. My nephew here, he using some real thin blades, some really thin, sharp blades, might make him mark or something. So these are my wall detailers. I use them on kids. They're not as aggressive, and I can always use my shavers to get close, but I use them on some people who tend to mark up if you're heavy-handed. And sometimes I can tend to be heavy-handed. So if I know that with some of my clients, I'll use some of my trimmers that may not be as intense, and still get the same type of look.
Mo.
Here, pretty much done, just using, doing some little minor detailing before I come through with my my really fabulous trimmers here. If you haven't used these things are really sharp, really out the box. They're really sharp, so you have to be very careful with those. Wouldn't advise to use these against wood field. And here's the finishing touch.
Sipping on that lean,